Today we're going to be having a look at television script structure. Now most of this information is going to come straight from the website by Ken Miyamoto. It's in the Screencraft site. There's the address right there for you to follow up. Now we're not going to go over everything in that. We're just going to be looking at things that are very simply to do with writing a television script. He goes into a lot more things that we won't, such as the structure of sitcoms, different tools you can use to help you with your script writing, and other things to remember while you're script writing, like where you'll want to pitch it, things like that, what your chances of becoming a television writer are. So if you want to go into that kind of detail, you'll be wanting to go to his actual page itself, which is screencraft.org/2018/01/05/the Screenwriter's Guide to Formatting Television Scripts. Really good resource for someone who wants to go a little bit deeper, which is not what we're doing today. So we're going to be looking at what you do with television writing. You're creating a world with a cast of characters that will hopefully continue on for upwards of 10 to 24 episodes, give or take, for multiple seasons. The main story will not be resolved by the end of each teleplay or television script. You have the options of hour-long dramas or serials, hour-long procedurals, half-hour sitcoms, and in some cases limited series or mini-series. Each episode may showcase a certain story that is resolved by the end. The characters, their main stories, and their arcs continue on through each season. Now, in terms of the format, there's little difference between the format of writing a feature screenplay and writing a teleplay. The scene description, dialogue, character headings, and location headings are the same. The difference between feature writing and television writing is how the story is structured and how that structure is presented aesthetically through the format. Don't forget at the beginning to give us a synopsis. So here's the one from Mystery Road that I found out. It gives you a little bit of details. It should be a taste of the story though, and not a detailed novel. When you're writing for classes, it might be one paragraph or one page. You should tell us a little bit about the cast. You don't have to reveal who's the good guy or the bad guy. Just give some sort of direction as to what they are supposed to be like. Here's what I did for Mystery Road, the series. Just giving us a little bit of information about the characters. Now, the structure of an episode can be this way. Now remember that one page equals 1 minute approximately. You start with a teaser, which is about 3 pages. You have Act 1, which is 11 pages. Act 2, which is about 11.5 pages. Act 3, which is 8 pages. Act 4, which is 9 pages. And maybe Act 5, which is about 8 pages. Now, this is from the website I told you about at the beginning, and it's for a Grey's Anatomy episode, but this is a really quite good guide for you. Now we begin with the teaser. That's that little bit you often see before the beginning credits. First you'll have a teaser, heading centered, and then start to write. This teaser will usually be a short opening, maybe one location, sometimes more. The page numbers can be upward of 5 pages, although it's best as a newcomer to stay around 2 to 3 pages. If you're writing a pilot script, the teaser is an introduction to the characters and to the world. It will introduce the conflict in the story. Then there's Act 1. This is where you introduce the current story at hand. You've teased the peril, struggle, conflict or situation that the episode will tackle, but now you're getting things really started by setting the stage as far as where the characters are and what is leading up to the point of the next act, where they'll be confronted by the situation at hand. The end of the first act also offers a chance to leave a solid first cliffhanger or hook as well, which is what you really want to do at the end of each act. Keep that sort of like suspense going. Act 2. This is where the characters are dealing with the conflict full swing. They're struggling with it. They're figuring out how to get through it. Much like the beginning of the second act of a feature film script, the characters often still have some hope or chance. By the end of this act, the audience will feel like the characters may figure things out until, that is, another hook is introduced that flips that hope or chance on its head, forcing the characters to face the fact that they may not succeed. Then there's Act 3. This is where the characters are at their lowest point and the bad guys or conflict is winning. Where the second act gave the audience hope that they'd figure it out, all too often the third act is where the hope was proven to be false. By the end hook of this act, audiences will want to tune in to see how the characters will prevail despite such odds against them. Then there's Act 4, sometimes the final act. This is where the characters begin to prevail again. They've learned from their mistakes in the first and second acts, and now they're applying that to the conflict at hand. Now this is the optional Act 5. This is the closure. Some shows end with the fourth act, while others end with the fourth act with a cliffhanger and then use the fifth act to close things up with a finale of sorts. So let's have a look at what that looks like on the page. So here you can see that at the top we've written that, okay, this is the teaser, or if you've done Act 1 it would be Act 1, and so on and so on. Now you'll notice here that it gives you an idea about, what you're seeing. You've got the fade in, and then you're told that it's a surgical montage. You have sort of what sort of images you're going to have and how they're going to cut it together. Here they've given us an indication that we're getting some dialogue, but that it's in a voice over. Here we'll be told that we're going to hear a sound and what the image will be. Now this isn't a storyboard, so you're not being told specifically what you're seeing in each shot or what shots will be like. You're only being told what is really important to the script. The rest of it is going to be left up to the director themselves, but you're going to give important information about things that you really want to be in there, like a montage, like fading in, like what sound you want. You do get some scene description. So here we're told that it's the interior of Meredith's living room, that it's sunrise. This is important to have in there because she's waking up in the morning having sort of had a night over with somebody. And so they want that information there. Here they give us some dialogue, but it's out of shot. So we're going to hear this character before we see him. Then you get the screen description. There's a naked man lying by the fireplace we didn't notice before. So it's important information that they want to have. They don't want to leave that up to the director. Now, before you start writing, you should also know some of the glossary. Now, I just read through some in the example, but here is a great website for you to use. It's https://www.simplyscripts.com/wr_glossary.html. I've actually transcribed that to a document just so I can go off some really important script terms right now. As you can see, there's much more, but things like aerial shot, use only when necessary. This shot is a shot that may be taken from a plane or a helicopter, not a crane. For example, if a scene takes place on a tall building, you won't want to have an aerial shot of the floor of the action that takes place. So notice they say use only when necessary. This is because, again, a script for a TV series is not a storyboard. That is a decision usually made by the director, but if you specifically want something, you need to write it down. Some other terms that are quite useful. Close on is a shot that strongly suggests a close-up on some object, action or person. Expressive body parts such as face or a fist. It may also be referred to as a close-up or close shot. There's the crawl. This is the term for a superimposed titles or text intended to move across on the screen. Dissolve to, a common transition. As one scene fades out, the next scene fades into place. This type of transition is generally used to convey some passage of time and is very commonly used in montages such as seen in Bugsy. EXT, exterior. This scene takes place out of doors. This is mostly for producers to figure out the probable cost of a film project. As you can see, there are a lot of terms on that website that you should go look out. Interior, INT dot. The scene takes place indoors. This is mostly for producers to figure out the probable cost of a film project. You'll notice that in the example I just showed you, they actually use the term INT. Interview. The audience can only see so much through the window of the movie screen. Use this term to suggest something or someone comes into the picture while the camera pulls back, pans, etc. to reveal more of the scene. Montage. In film, a series of images showing a theme, a contradiction, or a passage of time. This film style became common in Russia in the early years of cinema. Russians were the first to truly use editing to tell a story. Some early examples of montages include City Symphonies and The Man with a Movie Camera. Modern day examples of montages can be seen in Kramer vs. Kramer and Bugsy. Montage is very popular with action, adventure and crime. OS or OC is off-screen or off-camera. This is the abbreviation sometimes seen next to the character's name before certain bits of dialogue. Basically, it means the writer specifically wants the voice to come from somewhere unseen, and we saw that in the example I showed previously. Pan. Camera movement involving the camera turning on a stationary axis. Imagine standing in one spot in a cliff in Hawaii. You want to absorb the view, so you, without moving your body or feet, turn your head from left to right. This is the same effect as a pan. And again, you would only write this down if it was important to your script. Point of view. The camera places the eye, sometimes the ears, of a character, monster, machine, surveillance camera, etc. As a result, we get to see the world through the sensory device of some creature. This can be used to bring out the personal aspects of a scene, or it can be used to build horror and suspense. An example of horror and suspense in point of view can be the scene in the opening shot of Halloween. Scene. An event that takes place entirely one location or time. If we go outside from inside, it's a new scene. If we cut to 5 minutes later, it's a new scene. If both, it's a new scene. Scenes can range from one shot to infinity and are disguised by slug lines. I should tell you what a slug line is. The text in all caps at the beginning of a scene that briefly describes the location and time of day. For example, interior, Dave's bedroom, night. Notice sometimes slug lines are abbreviations of something as simple as later or bedroom. Voiceover. This is an abbreviation sometimes seen next to the character's name before certain bits of dialogue. This means the character voices the dialogue, but his or her moving lips are not present in the scene. Voiceover is generally used for narration, such as the beginning of the movie, or, as Austin Powers would say, a character's inner monologue. The inner thought process of the character said out loud, such as only the audience will hear it. A general example of voiceover can be seen, or heard actually, in Election or the 6th season finale of The X-Files. And there's much more there for you to look at. So highly recommend those two websites that I discussed. That is the Simply Scripts Glossary and, oops, I'm going to go all the way back. Going back. There we go. And the Screencraft article by Ken Miyamoto, sorry. That would be a much more complete set of resources for you to use. But have fun. Go write some scripts or go analyze some scripts.